legendary painter Ansel Adams once said there is nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. Fair to say there are plenty of people in our world who, no matter what they say or how they say it, the reality of something is it's a fuzzy image as to who and what they really are. Donald Trump would be the polar opposite. Every word he utters conjures up a crystal clear image, and whether you view this as a positive or a negative, he doesn't seem to care. Believe me, the image itself will cut through the reality and leave you in the end with no doubt where he stands, and he'll be happy with it. Let us then delve a little deeper into the idea. Welcome back, Chairman and CEO of Patriarch Equity and DigitalMarketing.com, best-selling author and leadership specialist, Eric Schiffer. Eric, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Congratulations on your show and in this evening.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, hanging around at prime time. We get to look back on the daytime, hear what everybody says, and then we need to start making some sense of it. So let's you and I make some sense of the Donald. He has been nailed with a couple of people who have walked away from his sponsorships. People are hammering away at him, yet he continues to talk, continues to push that marketing forward. It doesn't seem as if anything will really faze him. Why? Because he's so confident, has so much money, or maybe a combination of all of those?
Well, I think, first of all, when you look back at the history of Donald Trump, this is a man who has studied the media, who gets it. He has been in battles for 30 years now. I mean, I remember way back when, in the early 90s, when he was building his media persona, et cetera, and he would get in scrapes. He was not particularly liked back then, and there were times in which he wasn't liked. There were times where he was liked. The Apprentice really put him on the map in terms of going up to another level where he became much more ubiquitous and also had a higher, what I would call, TVQ. So the average person began to identify and like him and understand him better as a person.
Now, you mentioned that TVQ, and that's very important that a lot of people aren't talking about, because he for years has been in front of a primetime audience. No matter how you slice it, again, love him or hate him, he's had The Apprentice there. He's almost got You're Fired down to a sense of being his trademark at this point. So is it not fair to say that all of that has created a monster audience for him of young and old, that no matter what he says, they'll take it a little bit, they'll go, okay, that's just the Donald talking, and they'll almost let him get away with it sometimes?
Well, look, if you go back to President Reagan, he built up an audience on as well through TV and commercials, et cetera. So there are some parallels. I think you mentioned some things that are very interesting. And you mentioned the fact that really at the core it's about good communication. And I remember I recently interviewed Donald a few months back, and we were talking about the presidential race, and we were talking about the different candidates. And one of the things that he mentioned that separates him is his ability to communicate. He's a superb communicator. He knows how to talk in sound bites. He knows how to talk in clever ways that diminishes the competition. I'm sure that he was aware of what he was doing to highlight the issue of illegal immigration. And I don't think there's any Republican that would disagree with the fact that there's significant problems with the border. It's a travesty that we're not protecting it at a greater level. I don't believe that he thinks of all Mexicans that are coming in that way, but he was able to trigger what was, and it still is, a national debate through clever understanding of how the media would assume his line and then propagate it as a meme.
Eric, knowing full well that he's had a great time on television, people of all ages know him, they watch him, they love him or hate him, but do you think it's going to be enough to resonate with younger voters, with the millennials, the ones who, quite frankly, are all still sitting there and they haven't quite decided what they want to do with the vote?
Well, it's interesting. We have a big millennial workforce. The millennial survey and data that you see of how they tend to sort, make decisions, having someone that is a charismatic, entertaining, motivating person as a leader is really big to them, either in the workforce or in the public sector. And when you consider Trump against all of the other competitors on the Republican side, no offense to them, but Trump uses the word they're all stiffs. And frankly, they really are stiffs. I think you could even go greater from a communication standpoint, from an energy standpoint. They just don't have his pizzazz. And some would argue the same with Hillary Clinton. I think that matters today. Millennials also access their media through social, and he dominates from a sophistication standpoint on the social end. There's no other candidate, whether it's Clinton or any of the other Republicans, that get social better than him. So he's able to communicate in the way they like to be communicated to.
I got about a minute left here, Eric. Is it possible that he is going to make, people are all worried about damaging the GOP image, but maybe he makes the other candidates better. He puts them on their guard. He gets them to be a little bit tougher, and maybe they can steal a little bit in the end.
Well, look, there are many experts that would say that this will toughen up people. I think that if they can't handle Trump, they have no business running against Hillary. They need to be able to battle it out. He's a fighter. He will take it to them. And frankly, what do you think these foreign leaders are going to do? So if you've got ISIS, you got these other people, and you need to be able to know how to fight and to handle yourself and to be able to communicate well. And this will be an interesting time. I believe he's going to do extremely well in the debates. He says he's not a debater. He's one of the most persuasive masters of linguistics and language patterns and sales and influence that exists. I think it'll be a fascinating debate. I would imagine that he's going to come out way ahead.
I just want to see him go nose to nose with Vladimir Putin. I think that would be probably worth the ticket. You could sell seats to that one. Eric, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk again real soon.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, now let's go ahead and get you to the poll, because this is where America gets a chance to speak. Donald Trump is gaining in the polls. He leads in a lot of polls. Would you vote for him? Simple question. Go to newsmaxpolls.com. Let us know. And while you're there, let's give you a program reminder. At our mothership, newsmax.com, Saturday, July 11th, Donald Trump will be at the Freedom Fest in Las Vegas. What the American dream means to me and how we can make America great again. We will be there in Las Vegas at Freedom Fest 2015 at Planet Hollywood. And Donald Trump will speak. You'll hear him at newsmax.com. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes in news continues.